in this section of this course, we are going to look at Java Database Connectivity, popularly known as JDBC. Okay, first of all, I'm going to teach you how to build a simple login page with image display in this section. So we are going to start with creating a connection to the database. I'm going to show you how to connect to your database in this section. So the first part of this is that I'm going to teach us how to create a database, and we have database with usernames and password. If you put a username, looking at this, if you put a username that does not match with any username in the database, you will never get access to open this. And if you have a username that is twice just the same thing in the database, maybe you have two databases that are just two username and passwords that are just the same, it will never give you access to the database. Just for example, I will modify this database here, and let's go ahead and just modify just one here so that we can be able to see how to do that. I will change this to the username to Pico, change this to Pico, and change the password to 123, and okay. Go ahead and close this. So now I have two username Pico here, Pico at end, and the Pico password is 123 with the same password 123. Now when you go over here and try to enter Pico, a username, and the 123 a password, and hit login, you will see that a message is displayed here, duplicate username and password. So no entry is allowed at this moment. I will close it. Now look at all these usernames. Let me go ahead and put a username that is not there as AGK, yes, and my password is yeah, and go ahead and hit on login. You can see that invalid username and password. You see that? Go ahead and close this. What if I go ahead and remove all this from here, and let's put a username key Sandra, which is in the table number 5, the ID 5. I'm going to say Q Sandra, and the Sandra's username password is 1234. Go ahead and hit on login. You can see valid username and password. Okay, successfully connected to database. So I'm going to teach you how to do that. Hit OK, and I'm going to bring this over here. Now let me go ahead and show us everything we need to know here. So we have a database. This is our database, and you're going to learn how to build this table to communicate with your database. You see that everything I have on this database is just exactly the same thing I have on my table. So my database and my table are exactly the same thing. I'm going to teach you how to create an insert button, update button, delete button, and clear button. When I hit on clear button, everything on these text fields are cleared. I will teach you how to create a drop-down menu which you can use to select anything at a time. You see that? And if I go ahead and hit on delete, and it's going to be deleted from my table here, and it will also be deleted from the database. Go ahead and hit on delete, and I'm going to show you how to create this dialog box that will always ask you, are you ready to delete this data? And if you hit on cancel, and nothing will be deleted. If I hit on delete, and if I hit on yes, it will ask you to tell you data successfully deleted. Okay, and you can see that ID 7 is deleted. And when you come back here on your table here, go ahead and hit on show all. The ID 7 is no longer there. Okay, so I believe that you can see that this is really working out fine. Okay, so if I go ahead and hit on insert again, data successfully inserted, ID 7 is back inserted, and go ahead and hit on refresh button, ID 7 is back again. So we are going to look in depth on this. I'll be teaching you how to create this table, how to create all these fields so that you can be able to insert update, like when you want to update, go ahead and hit on update. Data successfully updated. Let's check ID 7. You can see that is what I have here now. Anyone I select comes to this bar, to these fields, and I can be able to edit them. Let's change Jega's subject to, let's change it to be English, and hit update. Data successfully updated. You can see that English is now changed, and here it is still ID 4 economics. Go ahead and hit on refresh button. You see that English. Okay, I'm going to show you how to work with database step by step, and I'm going to show you how to create a search bar on your database so that you can be able to search at a particular point in time. You see, you can search with ID, first name, username. In case if you're searching with ID, search people with ID, someone with ID 4, and it pops up for you. Jega, ID 7. You see that? What if you go to ID 9? It doesn't exist in the database. Your database does not have up to 9 IDs. What of ID 1? You see that? Peter. Now, if you want to search with first name, people who their names are Queen. You see that? So, what of last name? Just exactly the same thing. You can search with username, with Pico. You see, 2 people have Pico because we changed the last one to Pico. And you see, 2 username with Pico and password 123. Okay, I'm going to show you how to do that and how to add this button up here, load student data. When you click on it, it will load all the data, irrespective of their names, their first name, last name, all the data you have will be loaded for you. So it's very interesting, and I believe at the end of this course, if you really follow these JDBC lectures very well, you will get to the point that you can play with JDBC anyhow you want. If you really want to play with JDBC and master JDBC on your fingertips in Java and be able to do awesome things with it, let me see you in the next video lecture as we go on with environment setup. In this video lecture, we'll be looking at Java database connectivity in Java GUI. Okay, so far we have been introduced to Java GUI and we have been able to build some awesome projects so far. In this video lecture, I will be presenting to us how we can be able to connect to database using Java GUI, and at the end we are going to build a simple login page that is going to function very well. First of all, we are going to build a serverless database. This is a case where our server or our database is not going to be hosted on a server. Therefore, it's going to be a local database, in the sense that you can move this from one computer to another and it's going to work very fine. For us to be able to achieve this, we are going to use what is called SQLite. As a beginner in Java development, I'm going to take us step by step. Okay, first of all, let's go ahead and open Firefox. So this is our Firefox environment. In case if you don't have a Firefox, I will advise you to go ahead and download Firefox as a browser, because we'll be using the SQLite database here. We are not going to pay for this. It is absolutely free because we are beginners and we will not be wasting so much money before we can be able to get our hands dirty on Java database connectivity. You can also do this using MySQL or PostgreSQL. But so far, as a beginner, I will not be taking us in those rigorous processes of using MySQL or PostgreSQL. So far, I'm going to use the SQLite database in Firefox. Maybe in future, I'm going to release the course on MySQL JDBC connectivity and PostgreSQL JDBC, and we are going to learn how to do all those ones. But so far, let me go ahead and use the SQLite in Firefox. Okay. When you go over here, move your mouse to this menu bar here and go ahead and hit on add-ons and hit on this. So when you hit on add-ons, you are going to have this here. Go ahead and click on see more add-ons down here. And this is going to open a new window entirely. So when you get to this page, you can move your mouse to extensions and hit on extensions. So far here, you don't see anything SQLite at this point. You can go ahead and move to find add-ons and hit on SQLite. So click over here. You can see that we have so many options here. You have SQLite Connection Manager. If you hit on this, you are going to have this we did call this SQLite Connection Manager by Peter Cahill. Now, don't ever use this SQLite. The reason why I brought us to this is because most of us at this point have our Firefox updated to the latest version. So, and this is called Quantum. That is the latest version of Firefox at the moment. Don't ever use the SQLite by Peter Cahill. This will not work very fine. I've checked it out and it's not really working very fine. And in fact, you are not going to implement this on this point. So, and most of us will be like, hey, what am I going to do? It is very easy. Follow me step by step and let's go ahead and understand what we are going to do here. So, go to your browser right now and type www.mozilla.com/NUS/Firefox/organizations. So this is the point. You will be introduced to extended support release. So this will enable us to use the old versions of the Firefox so that we can make use of the SQLite. Move your mouse and hit on download Firefox right now. So hit on download Firefox and you will see this download Firefox extended support release in your own language. So move down this. I'm going to look for English. And here I have English US. This is what I'm going to use. But you should make sure that you should know where you're running this. So I have Windows 64-bit, Mac OS, Linux 64-bit, Windows 32-bit, and Linux 32-bit. So my system is 64-bit. I'll go over here and hit on download. You see that? Download for Windows 64-bit in English US. I'll go ahead and hit on that. And in no distant time, you see that? I'll go ahead and hit on save. And this doesn't waste much time. It will download. So without wasting time, it has downloaded, and go to folder and let's check it out. So this is the Firefox extended. Let's go ahead and install this on our system and let's see how it looks. So this is being installed right now. It will not take much time, I believe so, and it will install. Yes. So hit on next. Next. So Firefox must be closed to proceed with the installation. Okay, yeah. Okay. It's going to close the Firefox and checking existing installation. Click OK. And next. So it has finished installation. Click on finish and let's see this coming up. Okay, this always happen. Firefox is not currently set as a default browser. Would you like to make it your default browser? Not now. Okay, so let's see the difference between the extended and the updated one. So let's see the difference. Go over here at the menu and hit on menu. Now you see your add-ons here, so go ahead and hit on add-ons and this will come up right now. So let's check it out and make sure that this is not just exactly the old one that we have. And go ahead and type SQLite. You see this? And go ahead and hit on SQLite Manager. Okay, previously the SQLite we have previously was the SQLite by Peter Cahill, and now you see SQLite by Lazio Tantor. So this is the SQLite you'll be using, and you can see that over here it says restart is required for this. Yes, actually it will restart. Not compatible with Firefox Quantum. The Firefox Quantum is the latest Firefox that is available now, but we are using the extended one. So go ahead and hit on add to Firefox down here, and you can see that installing, and go ahead and hit on install, and it's going to let you know that SQLite Manager will be installed after you restart your Firefox. So go ahead and hit on restart now, and your Firefox will restart immediately. So let's wait for this to come up, and it will not take time. So you see that it's back here, and it's going to ask you just the same question always. Firefox? No, not now. So now we've installed this. Let's go ahead and check it out. So move your to open menu here again, and here move down to customize and hit on customize. So now go ahead and close this. You have your SQLite Manager here. So pick this and drag it down to this point over here and drop it here. Okay, let's go ahead and close this and come over here again. You can see that I have my SQLite Manager over here. So go ahead and double click on this and it comes up. I'll go ahead and close all these things so that I'm going to work with it alone. So this is all I have here right now. If you go ahead, you can enlarge this by clicking on this, and you can see that it's enlarged, or you go ahead and leave it just the way it is. But I think I'm going to extend it a little so that we can be able to see everything. So now we have SQLite Manager here. So move over here and hit on database and hit on new, and I'm going to name this student because I want to build a school portal so that students can be able to put in their details. You can create yours for employment or a company. You can make employee, you can make for church, you can make for mosque, you can make for market or anything. So go ahead and hit OK. So I'm going to save this on the desktop. I'm going to name this selected folder desktop. So this is saved on the desktop right now. So now that I've saved this on the desktop, you can come over here to tables and you can right click on that. Just right click on that and you can see create table. So you can go ahead and hit on create table and you have all these here. I'm going to leave this here, and the next video we'll go ahead and do it step by step, because I would always love us to have one video for one particular section alone and the next video treating just next thing, different thing entirely, so that we can always make references in future, and it's going to help us so far. So in the next video we go ahead and create this table and get our hands dirty with database connectivity in Java programming. Thank you so much, and if you have any question, please use the question and answer section and I'm going to get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you and see you in the next video lecture. In this video lecture, we'll be looking at Java database connectivity in Java GUI. Okay, in the previous lecture, we were able to set up this environment, and in this present lecture, let's go ahead and create our table. So, if you are confused on how we got to this point, please revisit the previous lecture and then come over here and let's move ahead and work together. So the name of this table is going to be called as student list. Student list. So that is the name of this table. And the first column is going to be the ID. Then the next one is going to be, let's call the next one first name. Second one is your last name. You can call that anything, or surname. Then we have the username. Then after the username, you have your password. Then after the password, you go ahead and choose the age of the student and then the subject that the student is actually taking. Now, the data type for ID is going to be integer, and the first name is going to be a text. That is the data type. The last name, text, and the username is usually text or anything. It can be numeric. Let's go ahead and just put it to be text alone. Okay. Then password. Let's call our password to be text as well. Okay. So the age is going to be integer and the subject is going to be text. Okay. Here at this point, we look for a primary key. You can choose any of these to be your primary key, but the ID is strictly what I will advise you to stick on. So the ID is going to be used as our primary key. So click on it and it will mark that. Move your mouse and hit on OK. And it's going to populate this and hit on yes. So you've succeeded in creating the table, and you can see the table student list. And go ahead and hit on this. So this is your table student list, and go to browser and search and click on this. So You've not added anything here, and you can see that. So what you need to do now is hit on browse and search and go over here and hit on add. So this is what I have. But before I proceed with this, let's go ahead and look at our desktop. You can see that I have student.sqlite here. So in case if you're having any issue, ensure that yours have .sqlite. So I believe that you see that because I didn't show us this after saving this project. So I just occurred to me now, it's okay. Let me go ahead and show us this and we move ahead and continue. So for the first one, the ID is going to be 1 and the first name is going to be, let's call the first name to be Peter. My last name is going to be, Cole. Peter Cole. And the username is going to be Pico. Alright. The username is Pico and the password is going to be, let's call the password to be 123. I'm okay with that. You can make it to be 4 digits. And the age of Peter's age is 12. And the subject Peter is taking is chemistry. And hit OK. And this has been added. Let me close this. So here you can see that the ID is 1, first name Peter, last name Cole, username Pico, password is 123, and age is 12, and subject taken by Peter is chemistry. Now, all the text data types, you can see them in blue, and the integer data types are something greenish or light green, and if you select different data types, they have different colors. Okay, so let's go ahead and add more of these. Let's say the second one is going to be 2, and the name is going to be Steve, and the last name, the first name is Steve, the last name is going to be John, and username is going to be sjohn. Okay, and the password is like 123, or you can make it for different password are okay. Then the age of Paul is to be, let's say, 9 years, and Paul is taking biology. Oh, hit OK. Okay, and that has been added. Let's check it out. You see that? I think these guys are having the same password. Okay. I'm just putting the same password so that I will not be confused. You can change it anytime. There is no problem. Go ahead and add. Let's add about 5. First name is Juliet. Last name is going to be David, and username is D Juliet. Okay, is that okay? Let's call it J David, so that I'm not going to forget in future, and all of them should be in lowercase. Remember, you can make your password to be in any way, but because I'm making this course and I'll be using all this to explain things in future, I just want to make it the way I can be able to know the username and the password easily. Because if I give them different passwords, I will not remember who owns a password or another. But whenever I see a feminine name, I'm going to put that 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Then the age of Juliet is 18 years, and the subject is let's
let's call this to be mass. She's taking mass. Yeah, go ahead and hit OK. Close this and let's check it out. You see that? So let's add another one, and the ID of this is 4, and the first name is gonna be King, and last name is gonna be what should be the last name? Let's call this to be Jega, and the username is KJega. Alright, and the password is 123, and name age is 20, and the subject taken by him, what subject should we give? Economics. Go ahead and hit OK. Okay, you see that? So let's add one to make it 5. I just want to stop at 5, and the first name is gonna be Queen. Yeah, I have King, so I'm just adding Queen, and this is Queen Sandra. Okay, username is Q Sandra, and password is going to be 1234. Age is Sandra, it should be 25. Wow, yeah. And the subject taken by Sandra is no other subject but physics. Go ahead and hit OK. I don't know if that physics is the correct spelling, but let's go ahead and hit OK. And cancel this. So we're done. So this is all about creating database, and you can go to structure, and this is how it looks. The structure of this: create table, student list, ID, integer, primary key, all this. So in case you don't know much about database, and you are just a newbie, you don't need to worry. Maybe I'm gonna make a course that is going to cover database, and that's going to help us to understand everything. But so far so good. You are going to understand the basics and how to work with database with Java in this course very well. And whatever knowledge you have here, you can easily adapt and understand MySQL or PostgreSQL in future. Alright? So don't ever be scared in case you are just a novice who don't know anything about programming for the first time. Just follow me step by step and you will enjoy that. So I'm sitting on browse and search, and this is the database we've created. So far, I believe that it is just very easy, and in the next video I will go ahead and start writing a code that's going to help us to work with the Java and the SQLite manager together. So let's go over to the next video and kick off immediately, as we have created our database in this video. If you have any question, please use the question and answer section, and I'm going to get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you so much, and I'm going to see you in the next video lecture.
In this video lecture, we'll be looking at Java database connectivity in Java GUI. Okay, in the previous lecture, we were able to create a database, and we can still see our database just right here. So now, let's go ahead and go over to your Eclipse, and let's go ahead and create Java project that is going to help us to work with the database. So move to File and go to New. Move to File and go to New. Why this always go off? And go to Project and hit on Java and go to Next. And the name of this project is, let me call it School, because I am building a school portal just as I told you. And go ahead and hit on Finish. That is coming up. Okay, over here you can see that I have the project called School, and go over to the source, right click on the source. I have too many things running on the background, and this is preventing my system to work very fast. So go over to New and go to Class and hit on Class. So I'm going to call this class SQLite Connection. So this class will help us to connect to the database. And when you do this, come over here, say which method stub would you like to create. Ensure that you do not click on public static void main or constructor from superclass. Just leave it at inherited abstract class method or abstract method instead. Inherited abstract method. So once you do this and ensure that these are unchecked, so go ahead and hit on Finish. So now we have this, and we've successfully been able to create the class SQLite Connection class. So we have no main method here. So now we go ahead and start with importation of some libraries. So go ahead and hit on Import java.sql. So that is the first thing that we're going to import here. So hit on Enter. So what this means, java.sql.externlist means that it's going to import every other libraries that are going to work with the SQL library. So after then, you go ahead and import java x.swing. Okay, so these are the two main libraries that we are going to import here. Then we go ahead and create a local variable, and I'm gonna call that connection con what now. So this, if you hover over it, is part of the Java SQL library. You see, the java.sql.connection. So it's part of the Java SQL library that we just imported. So we are going to use that in future. So let's go ahead and create a method public static connection db connector. So this does not have any argument passed to it, and once we do this, we go ahead and put in a quick try catch block here. Try catch. Let's call this exception. Okay, so we've created a catch block try cache block here. So under the cache exception, under the cache block, I call that cache exception. So let's go ahead and populate a message that is going to be displayed. Let's call that the J option pane dot show message dialog, and the first argument is going to be null, and the second one is going to be the error message. So now under the try block, the first thing is we're going to write a connection that is going to connect to the SQLite. So that is the class we're going to define. We're going to define the class for connection to the SQLite under the try block. So let's go ahead and do that immediately. Okay, let's say class dot for name, and the name is org.SQLite. org.SQLite.JDBC. So remember to put semicolon at the end, and here we have error still showing here. This because we've not returned. You can see this method must return a result of type connection. So we're going to return this, and let's go ahead and continue with the code, and then after we go ahead and return the connection. So let's go ahead and say connection count is equal to driver manager dot get connection JDBC SQLite. So we are going to put the path of the database just here. So what we're going to do right now is you go back and let's go over here and get this. So I have here, and this is my student.SQLite. I'm going to right click on this and go to properties, and let's go to security, and here you can see the path. I'm going to copy this. I'll copy, yeah. Okay. Go ahead and close this. I've just copied it, and I'm going to go back to my code again and press this thing down there. So now what I need to do is I'll come over here and let me stretch this so that we can see all this here. Go ahead and paste this and put a semicolon at the end. I hope you can see that. So what we need to do now is, now we've done this, go ahead and return the connection and say return count, put a semicolon at the end. So let's check and know why this is still showing error at this point. Let's check it very well. Okay, so I've returned the connection for the con, and for DB connector, go down to cache exception. I always call this cache exception. Go down to your cache block and put a return null, put a semicolon, and you can see that error is gone right now. Okay, so now that we have this connection class ready for us, let's go ahead and make the login form and kick off immediately. So move over to your project again, school, and go to source, and you right click, and now move over to other. So down here, go ahead and hit on application window and hit on next. So let's call this form login. That is the name of this form, login. So go ahead and hit on finish. So it's coming. So you can see that the class that is being created for us is here. Let's go to designer. It's coming up. So this is coming up. So here we are not going to do much here. We are just going to test the connection with the database and make sure that this is really working very well. So let me go back to my source, and here I have my public login, which is the constructor. It has the same name with the project name, and it has initialized already here. So now that we have seen the constructor and the initialize, let's go ahead and import java.sql here again, and import javax.swing here again. So you see I have these two here. Now let's go above the constructor and kick off immediately. Okay, right. Connection count is equal to now. So we're going to use this count globally in this. So previously we've used con. Let's call this connection, because we've used con in there. Here we have con here, so over here we have connection. So the next thing we need to do is to bring in the DB connector, which we have here over in this place. So let's go ahead and do that immediately. So under the initialize, under this constructor, so you go ahead and say connection equal to SQLite connection dot DB connector. Press semicolon at the end. Wow. Press semicolon at the end. So the SQLite connection is the first project SQLite connection.java, and the DB connector is the constructor, is the method DB connector here. So this will help us to connect to this database JDBC SQLite, which contains the part of the SQLite database. So now, if we have this connected successfully, we need to display a message to the user. So let's come over here at this point, which is in the SQLite connection.java, and put a JOption pen dot show message dialog. So the first one is now, and the second one is let's say successfully connected to the database. So this should be the message you're going to receive. So So this is above the return connection here. So now that we have gotten this cannot be able to run successfully except we bring in the SQLite jar file. At this moment, some people might be confused. What is a jar file for SQLite? So you don't need to worry. I'm going to take us step by step. But if we go ahead to run it without a jar file, let's go ahead and see the error we are going to get. So go ahead and hit on run, and let's see the error message that will be displayed to us. You can see that we have java.lang.class not found exception org.sqlite.jdbc. Okay, yes, we know we are expecting an error message. Go ahead and close this, and let's go ahead and bring in the jar files. So let's go ahead and minimize this, and over here you can see, go ahead and type bitbucket.org/serial/SQLite-JDBC. It's going to bring you to this page, and over here you can see SQLite JDBC driver. So we need this driver for us to work with SQLite in Java. So take a mouse to this and hit on download just here. And over here you can see I have so many things here. Jar file. You can see these jar files. I'm going to download all these one by one. Yes, I need all of them because I don't know which is which at the moment. They are being updated always. So go ahead and hit on this, and you go ahead and save it. So I'll go ahead and do that for all of them, and I'm going to save it again. So let me go ahead and do this for all of them. So far I've downloaded all these jar files. So go ahead and hit on open folder, and you can see all of them here. Go ahead and stretch this. Let me stretch this to come down. Okay, so these are the jar files that I've just downloaded. What I need to do now is I'll go ahead and open my project again, and I'm going to create a folder for all these and pack them there. So go over to project school and right click on this and go to new and go over to folder. So I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm going to call that resources, and hit on finish. So over here you can see I have a folder called resources. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring in the downloaded jar files that I have, and I'm going to select all of them. So I've just selected all of them, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move all these files inside this resource folder I've just created here, and I'm going to dump it here. You can see that. Select how files should be imported into the project. Copy files. Okay, you see that, and that is being copied now. So click on this. You can see all the jar files are here. So now go back here and run this project again. Let's check it out. And I'm still having this error. So let me check out and know what is the cause of this right now. Okay, I think I have not configured this. So go over here to GRE system library and click on this. Right click on this and move to build path and go to configure build path. So under library, go ahead and bring this module path down, and bring this down. Let's check this out. let's check this under library and make sure that we have this here. Okay, I think I have seen what I'm doing. So move your mouse to add jar and not this. Move your mouse to add jar and hit on jar. Once you add this library, just go straight to jar. Don't put this down so you don't get confused, because you have lots of things inside here which if you're looking at them you might get confused. So just leave it the way it is, just these two here, and hit on add jar. And here you have school, and here you have school. Just populate this by clicking on this icon. It will bring out everything. And you have your resources folder which you just created, and hit on this, and you have all these guys here. So select all these. I'm going to select all of them. So you need to be patient and do this step by step so that you don't miss out anyone. I think I've not selected all of them. I have not just selected all of them. So let me go ahead and add jar files. I stopped in 2.2. I double clicked and it entered immediately. So go back again and continue where you stopped. So I stopped here. Let me bring this down and copy the remaining ones. And it's being copied. So whenever you are here, you have to be very, very careful. And okay. So I've copied the remaining ones. So you can see all of them here. All right. So now go over here, hit on apply and close. So now go over here and hit on this. You can see all these files are here. You have successfully done that. Go to reference library. It's under reference library. You see that? And close this. Go to resource. You can see that under resource. And under reference, they are there. So let's go ahead and run this again and make sure that it's working out fine right now. Okay, that is very nice. You see, successfully connected to database. And you can see now that our code can be able to discover the database and hit OK. And this is the form that we have, the login form. Remember, we are going to build a simple login form and we are moving step by step. Go ahead and close this. You can see we can now find the database at user desktop student.sqlite is now working successfully. Please and please and please again, please check out this and follow the video step by step on how to add the jar files, how to download them, create a folder, resources folder, add them there, build this and add the jar files. Do that step by step so that it can work out fine without having any problem. I hope that you really understood this and you're going to do that step by step. Remember, we are still moving, and if you have any question in this present video, please use the question and answer section and I'm going to get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you so much, and I'm going to see you in the next video lecture. In this video lecture, we'll be looking at Java database connectivity in Java GUI. Okay, previously we are able to create a simple login that checks if the database is being connected successfully. So let's check it out again and make sure that we are still together here. So you can see successfully connected to database. Go ahead and close this. and this is the form that we are still building for the login page we are working on. So first of all, I'll go ahead and double click on this, and I have the entire page to work with. You see that? And I'll go to my design view, and I have this here. So what I'm going to stretch this so that it's going to look big. I'm okay with this. So let's go ahead and kick off with the design of this and start writing the code immediately. So first of all, I'll take the absolute layout and drop it here, and you can see that the absolute layout. Then I'm going to take jet text field. I'm going to drop jet text field for this. I'm going to stretch this for the username, and I'm going to get another jet text field, and I'm going to drop this for the password. So this is for the password. Okay, I hope that is cool. All right, I'm going to reduce this as well. So now I will get a J label. I'll put this J label here, and I'm going to change the text here to username. Let me make this to be like 15. I'll stretch this. Let's stretch this. Okay, you can make it bigger to be 25. Username, and the next one I'll get another one, or I'll go ahead and change the text to be password, and this is going to be $25 as well. Okay, so for this password, I'm going to remove this JText field here. I will delete the JText field here, and come back here and pick JPassword so that it will be hidden. So pick this here, and I'm going to explain this. Okay, this is JPassword. Go ahead and stretch this. So I will explain the reason why I picked this. Now, coming over to password, you can see that I have echo char. I can change this to be exteris. You see that? I change this to exteris, or I go ahead and leave it as a dot, because it is a dot before. So I'm going to leave it that way so that your password will be hidden from people. It doesn't need to be open so that people will be seeing your password. Then I'll get a J button so that this is my login button. So I'm going to put it here. So let's change this to be login. Let's make this to be 20. Then you can drag this to come up. yeah, I think that is cool. So this is my login, and I hope that is cool. So let's go ahead and start immediately with the action perform. I need these two to be just the same because one is bigger than the other. Let's see how it goes. Okay, I think they're better off just now. They're better off, and it is more. It's okay at this moment. So let's go ahead and kick off immediately. So let's go over to the login, and you can double click or you go ahead and right click, and you go to add event action perform. So I believe we have already known this before now. So down here you can see my login button. Then the first thing we need to do is to put a try catch block. Try catch. Okay. So now we have to write a query. A query is a structure that helps us to get or add or delete or update or modify the database. So it's called query. So I'm going to say string query is equal to select asterisk. Asterisk means all. Select. Then we go ahead and get the database. This is our database. So we have to know the name of the database, and the table name is student list. You can see that student list. So minimize this again. Select all from student list where the username is equal to not known, and password is equal to this. Now go ahead outside here and put a semicolon. Okay, so remove one of these from here. So now let's go back to the design mode and hit on this. Go to J text field and change this text field to username, and change the password to, it is called password field, then put it to password. Then go back to your login page. Let's continue, because the username and the password will be gotten from those fields. Now this is called a prepared statement. So they can be able to create an object of the connection. So let's say prepared statement, let's call it PST, is equal to connection dot prepared statement, and the argument is going to be query. Put a semicolon at the end. So we created the object of the connection, and that is the PST. Now we're going to use the PST to set the string for the username and for the password respectively. So let's go ahead and say PST dot set string. So the first argument is going to be the index, and it's going to have index of 1 for username and index of 2 for the password. So for the first argument 1, the index 1, and it's going to be username dot get text. username dot get text, then pst dot get string, sorry, set string is going to set string. Let's check this out again. pst dot set string. So for the second argument, for the first argument under this is going to be 2, that is the index 2, because we've given the index 1 to the username, and the second argument here is going to be password dot get text. Okay, let's go ahead and bring this down. So under here you can see that password.getText is being strike. This is because password, the text can either be alphanumeric 1, 2, 3, or you can go ahead and put this to password.getPassword. There we have password.getPassword in Java. Let's check out that. You see that? You can go over here and say dot get password. You can see that here, but I'm not going to use this because I'm going to have an error here. So I'm going to leave it just get text, and if it doesn't work out fine, we'll check out what we're going to do, but I believe that it's going to work out fine. So now we need to get the result. I'm going to say result set, let's call it rs, is equal to pst dot execute query. So we want to execute the query. Put a semicolon at the end, and the RST is going to help us to check out the database, the tables we just created one by one, and in order to do this, it needs a loop function that will help it to move and do this one by one. So let's create what is called a while loop for this. So now we've known that the result will be transferred to Rx, and the Rx is going to do this one by one. Let's go ahead before writing the while loop, and we're going to create a variable int. Let's call this count is equal to 0. Then we say y, and transfer the result y rs dot. This is rs dot next. So this next is going to give us a boolean type. Let's check it out and make sure it's boolean. So hover your mouse over this, and my system really takes time. Let's check it out. We can always come back to this. Let's move. We can always come back to this and do that. Okay, you see that? Boring java.sql the result set.next throws SQL exception. So whenever it is true, it's going to keep moving. Whenever it is false, it will go out of the loop. So whenever it has false, it will go out of the loop. So let's move on. I'll drag this down so that we can see what we are doing. So count is equal to count plus 1. You can use count plus plus and it is going to work out fine. So go ahead, we've closed this here. So this loop will help us to check the database one by one. Then whenever it checks that, it will now give, we have an if condition. If count, whenever it's checking, if count is equivalent to 1, then it means that the username and the password is correct. So whenever the count is moving and is equivalent to 1, it means that the username and the password is correct. So you can say J option pane. We're going to use this to populate a message that is going to show us that this is correct. So the first argument is null, and the second argument is equal to, let's call it valid username and password. So it's valid username and password. So for the second one, we're gonna check if the count, if count is greater than 1. That means you have the username or password duplicated. So let's go ahead and check it out. So count, I'm going to option pane dot show message. No. And I'm gonna say this username and password already exist. So we have duplicate username and password. So this is if else, else if the count is greater than 1, then else the username and password are not correct. So I hope you can see this. So else J option pane dot show message dialog. Now invalid username and password. So when the while loop is moving and is counting, and the count is equivalent to 1, it means that it gets a valid username and password. But when the count is greater than 1, it means that the username and password already exist. That means you have duplicate username and password in the database. Else, if it didn't get anything, if it is 0, then it means that it is invalid username and password that you just put. Okay? So now that we have finished and we are checking the database, let's go ahead and close the connections so that you can be able to reuse the connection again. Because in database, whenever you are doing the routine check, the database is being checked every once in time, and the connection is open and closed so that it can be reused again and it can be checked again. So rs the results dot close. So we close the connection for the results, and for the PST we close the result again. Okay, so I think this is okay. Let's go ahead and run this and check it out and make sure that it's okay. So successfully connected to database. Okay, so now let's go ahead and check our database. So this is our database we've just created in the previous lecture. So let's go ahead and put the username PKO, that is PKO, and the password 123, and check it out and make sure it's okay. So username PKO and the password is 123. Hit login, and it's gonna return either valid. Let's check it out and know why it's not giving us anything. my system is really taking so much time to return something for us. I have too many things running on the background, and this is really taking so much time. Let's close this. Go back to our cache, and we need to put a message option pane in case if there's any problem, it's going to populate it for us. Option pane dot show message, because we didn't put this before, and that is null exception. So if we are having any problem, the cache block will help us to get the error message, and it will be able to get everything, and we know what is happening in the code. Okay, going back to the try catch block under string query, we didn't put a from here, so go ahead and add select all from student list and not select all student list. So if you do that, you're going to get error message, and go ahead and put your cache J option pane so that you can always get error messages and know where the problem is coming from. Okay, so now that we have this, go ahead and hit on run again. Let's go ahead and check it out. So successfully connected to database. Remember that this is what you wrote here, is not a magic. Go ahead and hit OK, and it populates the next form for you. And this form, go ahead and put your username. So let's go ahead and this is the database we have. So you can go ahead and choose any username. Let's choose a Q Sandra with a password 1234. Say Q Sandra password 1234. Hit on login. You can see that valid username and password. Wow, that is cool. Hit OK and it's gone. Let's change Sandra's password to 123 and check it out. Hit on login. See invalid username and password. You see that? Invalid username and password. Go ahead and close this. And you can see that. What if I go to the database and go to Sandra and edit Sandra's username to Pico? I have a username called Pico already. So change username to Pico and hit OK. Close this. So for ID, primary ID 1, that is Peter Pico. I have the username Pico, and I have Sandra usernames to be Pico again. And you can never have the usernames to be the same in one database. So let's go ahead and put this Pico login. So it is valid because Pico has different password. So let's go ahead and change the password to be the same. So put the password, remove this to be the same. Okay, close this. So now both the two Picos and the password are the same, 123. Let's go back and check it out. Login. See, username and password already exist. Wow, you see that? Let's close this. Let's close this and change this to be duplicate username and password. Duplicate username and password. Run this again. Successfully connected to database. Okay, so let's go ahead and check another user. Another user, S John, has password 123. S John, and I'm going to close this. Let's go over to the design view of this project, and then make these characters to be very big because they are too small. Let's change this. Let's make it to be 30. Okay, and this also 30. Okay, so now we can go ahead and run this project again and check it out. Successfully connected to the database. Okay, so username sjohn. The password is 123. Login, valid username and password. So now we have people that have the same username, that is Pico and Sandra. Login, duplicate username and password. Okay, and let's remove this and login, invalid username and password, because there's nobody that has a password that's just one there. So you see that the username and the password are really working and we are really communicating with our database. You see that? So I'll go back and go over here and click on edit again and change Sandra's username to QSandra, or you leave it that way. But I'm going to leave it that way because we're still going to use it in this class. Alright? So I believe that is very interesting now, and you are beginning to enjoy it because we are now communicating with the database and it's working out very fine. So I'll go back and keep the source code for us so that you can be able to write it down. So this is for JButton that monitors the username and the password. Go ahead and put it down and make sure it's working out very fine. And in case if you have any question under this lecture, please use the question and answer section and I'm going to get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you so much, and I'm going to see you in the next video lecture. In this video lecture, we'll be looking at Java database connectivity in Java GUI. Okay, so far we've learned how to connect and communicate with the database. In this video lecture, I'll be teaching us how to add images to our login page. Okay, so you want a case where you add images here. I'll show you how to do that. So go over here and get a jailbell, and you can put this jailbell here. I think this is really too big. I can bring down this to this point. Okay, that is okay. And I can drag this and bring it down here. I think it's looking good now. Okay, I can stretch this to come over here and shift it a little bit. Alright, so come over here and check this. Let's make this to be the height. The width of this is 207. Let's make the width to be 205, and the height, let's make that to be 210. Let's make this to be 210. Okay, let's look at it again. You can see 210 and 205. So now I will reduce this a little bit. Let's adjust this a little. Come on. All right. I'm trying to find a way to drag all these inside so that they will look good. So go ahead and remove this new label here. Okay, the reason why I made this to be here is because I want the image to appear here. Remember, the borders will not be visible. So you can see that the borders will not be visible at all. So that is for the image. So you should know the size of the image you want to use. Alright. You should know the size of the image you want to use. That is why I first of all made my border here. I have 205 by 210, and I'm going to add another image on the login page. I hope that is cool. So let's go over to Photoshop. In case you don't have a Photoshop, I'm going to use this image. So I'm not teaching Photoshop, but just follow me step by step in case if you have a Photoshop. So Control New. I'm going to create a new one with a width of 205 and a height of 210. So let's check it out and make sure that that is what we have. Height is 210. Okay, so new. So this is what I have. I'll go over here and copy this and come to my Photoshop and paste it, and I'm going to transform this to suit this. So you should always know the size of the image you are putting there so you don't run into problems in future. Okay, now let's go ahead and check the login. So this login, the width is 196 and height is 48. So I'm going to put an image of 30 by 30 inside here. I hope that will be okay. So I'm just teaching us how to put images on our form. So a new one here, and I'm going to set this to be 30 and this is 30. So come over here and copy this and paste. Transform it. Let's see this. Okay, so let's go ahead and save the first one. Save this, and let me go to my desktop. This is my desktop. I'm just gonna save it on the desktop PNG, and this is going to be user.png. Okay, and let me save this again for the second one. Save, and I'm going to save it as icon.png. So this is not really part of the Java programming, but I'm teaching us this because I know it will be useful and to some people. So this is the logo. I'm going to use this to replace the icon here. I'm going to show us how to change this icon at this point. So I'm going to use that for that one. So I'm going to save this. Let me create new. I'm going to say this to be 100. Let's make it to be 50 by 50. Okay, that is cool. Copy this and paste it here and transform this right now. So let's save this and let's call this on logo. .png. Okay, so we have all these here. Let's go back to this point. So what we need to do now is, at this point, go and open this guy here. So once you open this, you have to, just the way we created this folder, just the same way. So now go over to school, your project, right click on this and go to new, and under new go over here, you see source folder. Remember the first one is folder for resources and here is source folder. Click on source folder and I'm going to name this as img for my images and hit on finish. So you see that images are created just right here. So under my desktop I have an icon, I have logo, and I have user. I'm going to copy all these and move them to the image folder I just created right now and hit on copy. You see that? Okay, so now go over to your source code and go down here. This is the label, the new label we have. So what we need to do now is, let's go back to design view and let's change this just to be label. I think is okay, label, so that it will be easier for us. So you can see the variable name just changed label. That is more easier for us. Okay, so JLabel equal to new label, and what I need to do now is I'll go ahead and I'll say image img equal to new image icon. This, that is for this class, dot get class dot get resource, and here the string variable is going to be slash. The name is user.png. that is what I want to put there. So user.png dot get image. So put a semicolon at the end, and here label dot set icon, and the argument is going to be new image icon img. So you have an error here. You can move your mouse and import java.awt and it's gone. You can see that. So go back to your design view and let's check it out. Wow, you can see that. Yeah, and if you run this code, you can see that we have an image there. Let's check it out. Successfully connected to database. Okay, so you can see that an image is there on a login page. Now let's go ahead and add image on the login button. Close this and go to login, and let's first of all go to our source code. This is our source code. Copy these two, and go over to your login. So this is our login. Go all down here and paste this here. So change this, copy this variable jbutton, copy, and replace it with this. And the img, if you run this, you're going to have a problem. Yes, because you see that it's having the image here. Go back here and let's solve this problem. So we're going to put icon.png and not user, because that is what we made for this. You can see that icon. Now let's go down here and check it out again. Go to design view. You see that? So let's run this. So there's an error. Close this. Yes, there's an error here. Go back to your source, and the error is that we have a variable img here and the same variable here img. So put this to be img1 and this is img1, and go ahead and run this. Let's make sure it's working. Successfully connected to database. Okay, you can see that. And you can go ahead and put sco. Is that pico? Okay, pico 123 and hit duplicate username and password. Okay, let's go ahead. John, hit valid username and the password. You see that this is really working out fine and it's still okay. So I believe that we are moving together, and it's really very interesting. So that is very okay, and I hope you really enjoyed it. Okay, so if you have any question, please use the question and answer sections, and I'm going to get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you so much, and I'm going to see you in the next video lecture. In this video lecture, we'll be looking at Java database connectivity in Java GUI. Okay, in the previous videos, we went ahead and designed this login page, and it's working out very fine. And in this present video, I've taken my time to rearrange this. I didn't change anything, but just to make sure that it looks good. So you can just do yours and make sure that it's looking very nice, just like mine. Okay, so what in a case where someone got the right login details and logged into his or her account, we want to populate another frame or another form so that he can go on and do some other things. Remember, we've created one form and just that is very before us. Let's go ahead and see how to create another form, that is having double form or more than one form in one project. So move your mouse and let's go over here and open up this. Okay, you can go over here and move to source, and now go to new and go to others. So here we have application window. This time around, we are not going to click on the application window. The reason is because the application window will give us a main method, and in every project only one main method is always allowed. So we have a main method on the login page. Now, in order to avoid getting a main method again, go ahead and hit on JFrame. So we are choosing JFrame this time around, and go ahead and hit on next. Okay, the name of this class is going to be student list. So because I want when a student log in, it's going to populate the student's data, and go ahead and hit on finish. And you see that, and this is what I have right here. So let's go ahead and go to the design view and check it out. So this is the design view, and I'll go ahead and add the absolute layout here. Okay, so let's go ahead and put a J label at this point. Okay, I'll put a jailbreak here, and let's name this a new tab. I'm going to rename this to be a new tab. Let's go to the font and change the font. Let's make it bold, and let's make it to be 30. Okay. Wow, that is really too big. A new tab. So whenever you click on the login page, on the login button, let's go back to the login button. So whenever your password and username are correct, it will take you to the second form. So let's go ahead and get our hands dirty with coding. So go ahead and double click on the login button, and here we are on the source code right now. So you go to the if statement, which shows that if the count is equal to 1, then the name, the username, and the password are valid. So what we need to do is, when this shows us username and password valid, we have to dispose this frame so that the second frame can come up. And if you want to do that, you have to know the name of this frame. And how do you know that? Go over here and come up to this point. You can see private JFrame frame. So the name of this current login frame is frame. So let's go down to this point and dispose this frame by writing frame dot dispose. So frame dot dispose will dispose this current frame and help us to open the second frame. So now to open the second frame, we have to get the class name and create the object, an object of the class name, and the class name is our student list. I'm gonna say student list, and we create an object of student list, and let's call that student list. Okay, is equal to new student list. Okay, so you've created an object of this, and let's go in and use this object to set the second frame visible. And to do that, you're going to say student list dot set visible, and this takes it takes a boolean argument, either true or false. So if you set it at false, that means the second frame will not be visible, and if you set it at true, the second frame will be visible. So go ahead and choose true. Okay, so now that we've done this, let's go ahead and check it out. So go ahead and hit on run project. Let's go ahead and check it out. It's coming. See, successfully connected to database. Hit OK, and this is a database. Go ahead and put username. Pico is 2, and it's not going to work. 1 2 3. Login. Duplicate username and password. Still working fine. So let's go ahead and change this to sjohn. sjohn. I think this is okay. It's a valid username and password. Now, if I click on OK, it will dispose this and bring in the second JFrame. Let's go ahead and hit OK. You see that? It disposes this, the old one, and open the new tab, instead of all the tabs being opened on the system. And in this way, you can be able to call the login from the student list or anywhere. Always try to dispose them, and they work fine. So I'll go ahead and close this, and I'm going to comment on this. You see that? Let's run this code, and you see that it will not dispose. So it's coming up, and come on and say sjohn 1 2 3. Okay, password 1 2 3, and login. Okay, this will dispose but it will not show because I commented on the true instead of the other way around. So I don't need to comment. Let me comment jframe.dispose. Okay, that is what I want to do. Comment on jframe.dispose. Successfully connected to database. Okay. As John and password is 123. Login. Valid username and password. Okay. So you can see that I have two tabs open here, and this is not good in Java or in any time you're writing the code. So that is why I dispose the first one by using frame.dispose. So go ahead and close them all, and they're off. So I uncomment the frame.dispose again, and if you do that again, it will dispose. Let's go ahead and check it out again and see it working out fine. So successfully connected to database is John 123. Oh, I always write my password here. 123. Login. You see that it disposes the first one and it's working out fine. So in the next video, we go ahead and try to add some things on this new tab or on the new form and keep on moving. So if you have any question, please use the question and answer sections and I'm going to get back to you as soon as possible. Please use the code, go ahead and put it down on your system. Thank you, and I'm going to see you in the next video lecture. In this video lecture, we'll be looking at Java database connectivity in Java GUI. Okay, so previously we've looked at how to open a new tab using JFrame, and in this video lecture, let's go ahead and populate our table in this new tab. Let's see how it works. So that is the database that we will be populating here. First of all, I'll go ahead and make this to be big enough. Okay. All right. And I can double click on this and take the whole page. Okay. I think this is okay for me. Now, go ahead and remove this new tab here, and that is gone. So the next thing that we need to do is, we have absolute layer here before, but you can always add absolute layer anytime so that you don't make mistake. Okay, now I have my absolute layer. I will go ahead and look for JTable under here. So this is JTable. I will get JTable. And I'm going to spread it here. So this is JTable. I think this is okay. All right. And I can go ahead and reduce this a little bit. Okay, so this is to populate our table. So the next thing is, go ahead and right click on this JTable and surround, go to surround with, and surround your JTable with JScrewPen. Okay, the reason for surrounding this with JScrewPen is to ensure that the table is visible. Okay, so the next thing is go ahead and get a J button, and I'm going to place this J button here. And I'm going to change the text. Go over here and change the text to load student data. So load student data, and let's make it to be bold, and we can make this to be 30 or 25. All right, so let's go ahead and stretch this to be big enough. Okay. All right. Load students data. Can bring this down again. Okay. So once you double click on the button, you get to this page, and here, this is what we have. So before you go ahead and start writing any code under the button that we have here, first of all, ensure that you have these two imports, java.sql.xteris and javax.swing.xteris. So ensure that you have these two libraries imported in this student list.java before we can go ahead and start programming. So now that you've done that, let's go ahead and get our hands dirty with coding. So now let's make a connection to the SQLite class. That is the SQLite here. Let's make a connection to it, and in order to do that, you have to do that above. You have to do that above the constructor student list. The constructor is the same name with the project name. So just above here, you go ahead and say connection. Come on. So connection, object of connection equal to null. Okay, connection with object of connection equal to null. So now that you've done that, you have to connect to the method db connector of the SQLite class. So for us to do that, you use the object of the connection, to do that. So inside the constructor student list, you go ahead and say connection equal to the SQLite connection dot SQLite connection.db connector. So you have successfully connected to the SQLite class, and now we can proceed and move further to the button. So now that we have connected our form to the SQLite connection class, let's go ahead and move to the button. So the first thing, I'm going to copy this try catch block here. I'm going to copy this try catch block because I'll be using the try catch block inside the button. So go ahead and paste it, and I like making this to look good. Alright, so I'm going to leave the cache exception the cache block. I always call that cache exception. So go ahead and remove this, and what I need to do is to write a query, and my query is going to be in a string format. So this query is the query that will help us to load the data from the database to the form. So go ahead and write string, because it's going to be in a string form. Query equal to, so you put it in a string format, and that is select all. Remember, xteris is all from student list. Select all from student list, and that is our table. Go ahead and put a semicolon at the end. Now we write a prepared statement that will help us to load this table, and that is going to be prepared statement, and the object of the prepare statement is pst is equal to connection dot prepare statement, and the argument that we passed in here is going to be query. Go ahead and put this semicolon at the end. So now that we've gotten this, we need to pass the result to the result set. I'm going to use result set arrays. So result set with object rs is equal to pst dot execute query. So the result of the query will pass to rs, and rs needs a data module in order to be able to populate the results for us. And before you can be able to do that, we need a jar file. We need a jar file. So this jar file is called rs2xml.jar file. So you can be able to download it. Just go to your Google and type free rs2xml.jar. So the first thing that comes up here is the website Final Angels and Demons, and this can be found under SourceForge. There are too many websites out there that gives you this, so it's not just only this website, it is almost everywhere. So go ahead and check out this website, and it will direct you straight to the website for you to be able to download it under SourceForge, and this is it here. You can go ahead and hit on download, but I have this already here. I've downloaded it already. So what I need is, you can see that here, rs2xml. I got it from the website just very before you. So let's go ahead and open our project, and let's go to the source folder. So this is our source folder. Go over here and copy this to the source folder. Copy. Okay, so now we have it here. Go to JRE system library, right click and move to build path, and go to configure build path. So now go to add jar and go to resource under your project school, and hit on rs2xml.jar and hit OK, and click apply and close. So go to your reference library and make sure that you have it there. So under my reference library, I have it there. So now I'm going to use this, because without this I can't be able to work on this. So what I need to do now is, in order to put this on my table, so I have to check the name of the table. So go up here and let's look for the name of the table. So the name of the table is JTable table. So now that we've known the name of our table, so we can go ahead and say table dot set model. Table dot set model. And in there we say db utils. So the db utils is a library inside rs2xml.jar file that is going to help us to set the outputs into a data mode, which will be populated on the table. So db utils dot results set to table model. So results set to table model rs. Okay, in case if you're having this problem here, go ahead and hit on import. Go over here, hit on import db utils. So let's go over here and check it out. So you can see that we have it here, and yet we have this underlined. Okay, some of us might be asking, why is this happening? So this is happening because you're using Java 9, but people who are using Java 8 will not experience this problem. And I hope this will actually still work out fine. Let's go ahead and check it out. It's still gonna work out fine, but I'm going to teach us how to remove that red lines. Go ahead and hit OK. Let's check S John, password 123, login. Okay, let's hit all this. So you can see I have my table still populated. You can see that my table, I still got my table from here despite the error message I have there. So I'll close this and show us something before we continue. I'll come back here again and let's continue this. So close this and go back to your student list. Now we still have this line on this underline, and if you take it over there, it says the import net.proteinates.sql.dbutils cannot be resolved. And when you go down to your buttons under here, it will still show you import dbutils. Now let's go down to this jar file rs2xml and open it up. You can see we have this library inside here, yet it cannot be recognized. Why? It is because you are using Java 9. Go to JRE system library and right click on that, move to properties. So now we are on properties. Go over here and select this drop down. Go over and use any of this Java from Java 1 to Java 8. So let me pick the previous Java edition, that is Java 8 instead of Java 9. Remember, I am running this on Java 9. Go ahead, apply and close. Okay, now I have applied this and close. You can see under my button here, dbutils.resourceset.table mode, that the underline is gone, and that is okay. And over here, the import is really working out fine. Okay, so I can click on this and it loads students data. You see that? And the data is loaded. So I hope that is cool. Let's go ahead and close this. Click OK. Successfully connected to database. You see that? So I am clicking this from the student list, and let's go over to login Java, and let's move from the beginning. Successfully connected to database. So as John, and the password is 123. Click valid username and password. Okay, successfully connected to database. Okay, so hit unload students data, and my data is loaded right now. So I believe that you are really enjoying this, and it's really amazing. So in the next video lecture, I'll also be teaching us more on this database with Java GUI, and I hope you are really still going to enjoy it because we have a lot of things to learn in this class. So thank you so much, and if you have any question, please use the question and answer section, and I'm going to get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you, and I'm going to see you in the next video lecture. In this video lecture, we'll be looking at Java database connectivity in Java GUI. Okay, previously we were able to load the student database on the front end, and you can go ahead and look at these two things. The first one is Peter Co, and in your database we have the same thing exactly. Now we can see that everything matches from Peter, Steve, Juliet, King, and Queen. They are just exactly the same thing. Now I'm going to show you how to hide your username and password in case if you're working on the front end on your database, so that people can be able to see the password of your users or their usernames. Okay, because it's very confidential anytime you are working. So I'll go back to my code. From this code, from my query, what I wrote is to select all from student list. Now if I want to select just the ID, the name, the last name, the first name, and the age, and their subject, saying that is the next thing I have. ID, first name, last name, age, and subject only. How do I do that? I'll go ahead and remove the asterisk, which is all, and say select ID, last name, first name, last name, okay, and the age and subject from student list. So let's go ahead and load this and check it out. Okay, successfully connected to database. Go ahead and load it. So now you can see that I have just the ID, the first name, last name, age, and subject, and I don't have other ones displayed for me because I've just selected only one. In the same way, you can select just any one of them and work with them. Let's assume that I just want to select the ID, first name, last name, and just first name and last name only. Go ahead and close this and come over here and let's remove first, last name, and age and select the ID, first name, and the subject only. Go ahead and load it. So you can see this is select ID, first name, subject from student list. It's going to give me just only this. So load student data. You can see this is what I have here. So in this way, you can be able to select using query. You can select just exactly only the things you want to select, and when you check it out with your database, you still have exactly the same thing that are here. Okay, so this is just a piece of iceberg. We go in and move more in depth to many of these things in the next video lecture, because at the end of this course I want you to be a super Java developer. If you have any question, please use the question and answer section and I'm going to get back to you, and be ready to move over to the next video lecture because I have lots of things there for you. Okay, so thank you, and I'm going to see you in the next video lecture. In this video lecture, we'll be looking at Java database connectivity in Java GUI. Okay, so we've gone so far, and so far we are here, and I want to teach us how to insert data on a database, and I'm going to bring this together a little bit because I need this to enter here. So I'm going to position this down here, move it a little bit. Okay, I think that is okay. Now I want to make use of these spaces here, and the first one is that let me get a JText field, and I'm going to insert a JText field here. I think that is okay. I'll make this open. Okay, so I'll copy this, and this is for first name, and this is for last name. And what other things do we have? We have first name, last name, username, password, username. Then the next one we have is password, and the last is age, and I put the age, and you go ahead and put the last one, and the last one is the subject. Okay, so I'll drag this down a little. Okay, so let's go ahead and add J label here, and this label is for, let's call this label ID. So this is too small. Go ahead, 25. So this is ID. Can increase this. So I think I'll just pause this video and do that immediately because we have learned all these things. I've just finished it right now. You see, I have ID. These are J labels. ID, first name, last name, username, password. So this is how this will be done. Now, this save data, because we are learning how to insert data into our database. Down here, what I'm going to do is I'll go ahead and copy this try. I'm going to copy this try cache block at this point. Copy everything, then go down. I'll go down here and paste it at this point. So inside here, I am going to set model. I will remove it. Okay, then I am going to remove my query from select IDs here, and I'm going to write another query that will help me to insert data into the database. And the query goes as thus, and you still remember it is in a string format. In a string format, I'll go ahead and say insert into the data student list. So insert into list. What is going to insert is ID, ID first name, last name, ID first name, last name, username, password, age, and the subject taken by the student. So then the values of all this, because we don't know the value yet, is going to be question mark for the first one, for ID question mark, first name question mark, last name question mark. Always put a comma after then username question mark, put a comma, password question mark, put a comma, age question mark, subject, and close this. And we are going to remove the result set. Here we're going to remove that statement just the way it is. For us to use this prepare statement, the result of each of the entries made by the user on the ID, first name, last name, there we are going to object of the prepare statement those things from the user. So PST, the object of the prepare statement dot set string. Oh, this takes two arguments. The first argument, second argument is going to be the result, and that is the text that is being input by the user. So the first index is 1, and that is text field ID. Remember that is text field ID for the ID dot, put a semicolon at the end. Then we are going to copy this because we use that for both others: username, password, last name, first name, and so on. First name, password, age, and subject. The second one, index 2, index 3, index 4, 6, and 7. How many here? Let's check it again. This is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, so the second one is okay, 7. The is text field first name, and the next one is text last name, and next one is a text field username, and text field password, and text field age, and text field subject. So you see how it is, how easy it is for me to be able to name them, because I name them the way I can be able to remember them, instead of going up here and getting the text field name from, because I name them the way I will understand. So when you have used the prepared statement to get this text field from different indexes, you go ahead and execute the prepared statement by saying to the prepared statement pst dot execute, pst.execute, press semicolon at the end. So now you've executed which is pst. Now last joption pen dot show message. So for the first argument is null, and the second argument is what we're going to display to show that this is really saved. Data successfully saved to database. It's saved. You know that you've already saved this successfully. So when you have shown the message, you go ahead and close the object of the dots. Close. So we've closed the so let's go ahead and run this code and check it out and make sure that it's working out very fine. Okay. So now let's go ahead and put this. Okay. So I'm trying to populate my database. So the last index we have is the last thing we have here is start with ID 6. How? And this names to be like the font size should be like a 30, so you can be able to see that. I'm going to pause this video and do that as soon as possible, so fast. So I have changed the font size to 25 for all of them. Now I'll go ahead and get this, and I'm going to close it and run this again. I'm going to run this again so that the font will be added. Okay, so I'm going to start with indexes. First name Jack, last name hello, username, okay, then password 0011. All right, I've changed the password this 30. Subject is let's say the subject should be English. Okay, subject is English. So these are database stop at index 5. So let's go ahead and click on, and over here I have some errors there. Some error for that. So I clicked this before, I got an error here. You see that error? So there's an error here. So let me go ahead and check my code here instead of values. So I'm going to put S on at this point. So now I have a list. So name, password, age, subject, and not value. The values are this. So let's go ahead and run this. We are not having an issue at this point. So ID 6, first name, username J hello 011, age 30. So this is my ID, still at 5. So let's go ahead and hit on save data. See that data successfully saved. Click OK. Now let's check it out here. Go ahead and hit on show all and hit on show all. So now on show all, you can see that Jack hello, J hello 001, age is 30, and subject is English. Okay, I hope that is cool. So now to be the I will not have any ID that over here I can get an error. You see that? This error is because, so close this. Now I open it again. I can remove this, change this to first name is Neni, last name is Tio, and username is NTO, and this you can add more to your and subject to be literature. Literature. I don't know if this is correct because on save, you can see data successfully saved to database. Okay, let's check our database. Is not yet there. Go ahead and hit on show all. You see that? And they keep adding. You can add more for your database. And I hope this is really interesting. Okay, so this is all about the database, inserting data into a database from the Java GUI. And I hope that this is really becoming very interesting, and you can go ahead and play with it. And this is the code just very before you, and check it out. And if you have any question, please use the question and answer sections, and I'm going to get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you so much, and I'm going to see you in the next video lecture. In this video lecture, we'll be looking at Java database connectivity in Java GUI. Okay, in the previous lecture, we were able to save new data into our database, and we still have that here. So you can see that 6 and 7, Jack, Hello, and Neni Tio. So now I'm going to show us how to update this. Maybe in the previous lectures where we changed the password, Sandra's password, to 123 instead of 1234, and we have Sandra and Peter Co having the same username and password. So we can update this username and password right now and do many other things and see how it works. So first of all, I'm going to go over here and reduce this button to save only, so that there will be a space for me to add update. Okay, so this is save, and I'm going to reduce it a little bit, and I'm going to drag it to the corner so that I can add another button, copy and paste. So I'm going to add this, and I'm going to call this update. Okay, update. So because we still have other buttons to look at in feature, and we still drag this down small and add them. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I will double click on the update button, and this is what I have here. I go over here to the save button and copy all this code from here and come down here and press it. So now in the save button, I was able to get the first name, last name, and all those things using prepared statement. But in this video lecture, I'm going to remove all this, and I'm going to leave the prepared statement, the object of the prepared statement. So I've deleted all those things, and here I have the prepared statement and the object. Now I'm going to remove this query for insert. The reason why I'm doing this is because I have it already with me, and I believe you also have it. So now, to write a query that will help us to update, go ahead and say update student. That is the name of the table, student list. Update student lists, set ID equal to, so you put this, and inside you go ahead and put this. I'll bring this close so that they will not get us confused. and then this is for the ID plus text field ID dot get text. So text field ID dot get text. So this will help us to update the ID, and outside here you put a plus and put a semicolon. So in the same way, we go ahead and do that for the other ones. Go ahead and do that for other ones. That is the first name, last name. Let me go ahead and bring this down to the next line. So remember, it is just still descending. Okay, it is just still descending. Or let me leave it and move ahead. Go ahead and copy all this. Copy all this and paste. And try to remove all this from here. So this is going to be first name, and the text field ID for first name is text field first name dot get text field dot this text field. Okay, add plus. Okay, so now the next thing we need to do is to copy this and do that for last name as well. For last name, go ahead and remove this. So change this first name to last name. Okay, so after the last name, the next thing I have is the username, and change the field to text field last name. Text field last name. So the next one is username. Text field username. Okay, I hope you can see that, and you can easily pause this video and continue. So after the username, the next one I have is the password. Paste this, remove this slash here. Each time I paste, that is what happens. After the username, you have password, and this is a text field password. Text field password. So after the password, you have the age. So age is equal to text field age I'll remove this from here. Okay, so and the last one we have is subject. Subject, and where the text field is text field subject. Text field subject. So I hope you can see the end from here. All right. So after the last one, you go ahead and remove this comma here, and you say where, I'm going to show this to the end, where ID. The reason why I'm putting this ID is because the ID is the primary key. If you don't put this, there will be a conflict and you get error message, because the primary key does not need to appear twice. It must always be once. So where ID is equal to okay, I need to show this to the end so that we see what is going on here. So where ID is just the same thing, plus text field ID dot text field ID dot get text. Okay, put a plus sign at the end, text field and not text file. So text field ID. So this will help this ID not to throw error. Okay, now that we've done that, you go ahead and change the message and say data successfully updated and no longer saved. Updated to database. Or let's just leave it data successfully updated. And that is okay. Alright, so at this point we don't have much things to do again. At this point there's no other thing to do other than to go ahead and run our code and make sure that all is working out fine. So go ahead and run this code and let's check it out. That is coming. Okay, so I'm drag this here and go ahead. So this is my stuff. So let's go ahead and update Sandra. Sandra has a username Pico and password 123 and age is 25. Subject is physics. So let's go ahead and put back Sandra, Queen Sandra, and the username should go back to Q Sandra, and the password is 1234. Let's do that right now. So the ID is 5. Let's check it out. See, Sandra's ID is 5, and the first name is Queen, last name is Sandra. So the username should be Q Sandra, and the password is 1234 and no longer 123, and age, she's 25 years old. Let's put that back to 25. Let's leave it there. Let's leave it there, and let's still maintain this as physics and go ahead and hit on update. Data successfully updated. Okay, so let's come over here and check it out by clicking on show all. You can see Sandra updated. Let's load the data here. Okay, and let's go ahead and load all the data. Let's go back to load students data and put this back to select all. Select all from student list. Okay, and go back here and close this. Let's run it again. Run this again, and it's coming up. Okay, you see that it has loaded everything for us. So you can see Q Sandra, Sandra, Queen Sandra, username is Q Sandra, and password is 1234, age is 25, and subject is still physics. So in this way, you've learned how to save new data and you've learned how to update the data. In that same way, you can update every other one. Like, let's go ahead and update ID 7, and the first name is Neni, and his last name is let's call his last name to be Paul and no longer Tio, and username is N Paul and no longer NTO, and the password, let's make his password to be 123, just like every other password, and age still remain 25, and his subject is still literature. And go ahead and hit on update. Data successfully updated. Okay, you see, I load students table and it has now changed. You see that? Neni, Paul, N Paul, 123, 25 literature. You can see that it's working out very fine and it's very interesting. Okay, so let's go down and put back the code for you so that you can always see that. So the code is always here, and I'll gradually drag this to the end so you can always pause this video to write out anyone you don't see. Okay, so first name, the last name, the username, the password, the age, the subject, where ID is equal to this, to make sure that the ID didn't conflict. So this is all about updating your table, and the whole code is just very before you. So go ahead and put it down, and if you have any question, please use the question and answer sections, and I'm going to get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you, and I'm going to see you in the next video lecture. In this video lecture, we'll be looking at Java database connectivity in Java GUI. Okay, so previously we have learned how to save and how to update. In this video lecture, I'm going to teach us how to delete a data from the database. So here, I'm going to drag this down a little bit so that I can add another button down here. Okay, I can copy this and I can go ahead and paste it just below any one of them. Okay, can paste it here. Alright, that is good. And I'll go ahead and name this as delete. So this is my delete button. So I can drag this down so that it will keep looking good. Alright, so the more I add buttons, the more I go ahead and drag it down. So go ahead and double click on this button. That is the delete button. And go over to your update button and copy all this. So the reason why we are copying them is because we did them together. Okay, if we are doing it afresh, we start afresh to write the code. So go over here and paste this here. Now, looking at my database, I can delete, because I have a primary key, I can delete this using any of this primary key. I can, because the primary key are unique. Okay, so but the first name, last name, username, password, and so on might conflict with one another. But the username, the ID is the primary key, and the primary key is unique. So I'm going to delete any of them using just the primary key alone. So what happened is that here, I'm going to remove all these and leave only the primary key. Okay. So here I'm going to delete all these. So go back here, and I have just the primary key alone. So, and it's going to change this to delete from student list, and it's no longer setting it because you're not updating where the ID, because the ID is the primary key. That is why in your database you must always have a primary key. So here I will change this to data successfully deleted. Data successfully deleted. So now go ahead and run this. Let's check it out. Let's see this working out very fine. Okay. And this is my database. I'm going to delete number 7. Show all, because we've updated this before. Okay. You see it has taken its normal form. That is Nenipo. We updated it before. So now I can go ahead and load this table, and I have this here. Just exactly the same. So what I'm going to do now is I'll go ahead and put the primary key 7 or 6. Let's put it 6. Anyone. And go ahead and hit on delete. Data successfully deleted. Hit OK. Let's go to database and show all. You can see that the ID, primary key ID, is deleted. Now load students table again. You can see that 6 has been removed. And in just the same way, I can go ahead and remove the primary key 7. Delete. Hit delete. Data successfully deleted. Go over here and load students table. You can see ID 7 is deleted. And come back here and hit on show all, and also deleted. So I believe you've seen that, and that is how to use the delete key on the database. And it will delete everything just the way you want it. So I believe that we have all this, and let's go over here and look at the code again. The code is just very before us, and I hope we are moving together. If you have any question, please use the question and answer section, and I'm going to get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you very much, and I'm going to see you in the next video lecture. In this video lecture, we'll be looking at Java database connectivity in Java GUI. Alright, we have been able to create, insert, update, and delete. Okay, so what is remaining now? Before I go ahead, I'm going to change this save. I'm going to change that to insert, so that we can always know that. So we have done insert, update, and delete. Now whenever we do that, we always go back and click on the load student table for this to be able to update. Now I want to show us how to auto refresh the table whenever we insert, update, or delete on the table. So the first thing we need to do is we go over to the source code, and this is our source code, or come back here and double click on the load student table. So this is what I have here. Go above your constructor. So this is your constructor here. It's the same name with the project student list. Go over here and create a method. It's going to be a public method. So public void refresh table. So this is public void refresh table. So now inside here, what I'm going to do is I'll go to the load. This is load student data, and I'm going to copy the try cache method, try cache block here, and go over there on this new constructor, this new method I have here, and press it here. So if I've done this, what I need to do now is I'll go ahead and I'm going to leave the code untouched. First of all, I'm going to leave the code untouched, but what I'm going to do is the object of the prepared statement we have, which is PST, I'll go ahead and close the object, that is pst dot close. I'll close this, and the result set, which the object of the result set rs, I'll go ahead and close it also. So rs dot close. I have closed this right now. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this method, refresh method. Copy the refresh method, go to your design view and double click on insert, and down here after the cache block, go here and press the insert and put a semicolon at the end, and go back here to your update, and after the cache, and put the refresh and put a semicolon. So you are calling this method on each of these buttons, and the next one is delete, and after that, so this delete button, let's go ahead and check this out very well. So go down here and insert this as well. So, and put a semicolon. Now we've done this. Let's go ahead and run this code and make sure it is working out very fine. Okay, it's coming up because okay. All right, so I can either load this table, or if I insert anything, it will load the table. So go ahead and hit on load student table, and let's go ahead and put in 6, and that is the new ID, and the name is of this is going to be Smith. Let me say Smith, and last name is going to be Well. Oh yeah, Smith Well, and the username is going to be Swell, and the password is going to be 9988 RRT. Okay, and age is going to be 34, and the subject that is taken by him is which of the subject is best suited for Smith right now. So let's go ahead and give Smith any subject like economics. Okay, so go ahead and hit insert. Data successfully saved to database. Okay, so you can see that Smith is automatically inserted here. You can see that, and I didn't click on load student to be able to do that. And let's go and check out the database. This is database because you're not touching the database, so you can always come back here and click on show all, and you can see that Smith is inserted. So now let's go ahead and update Smith and say his name is no longer Smith, but his name is small, and his password is changed to 123400. Okay, and his age is now 60 years, and he's no longer taking economics but econs. All right, go ahead and hit on update, and data successfully updated. So you can see that it's now updated, and when you go to your database, click on this, you can see that it is updated. Now let's go ahead and delete this by clicking on delete button, and data successfully deleted. You see that Smith is removed from here, and go ahead and refresh this again. You can see Smith is deleted from here. So I believe that you've learned this is very easy for you, and you can go ahead and do that. So I'll go ahead and put back the refresh method for us, and go ahead and copy this and press it on all the delete, insert, and update buttons, and it's going to work out very fine for you. So this is about auto refreshing the database from the front end without going to the back end or clicking on the load table anytime. Now that we've learned this, so I believe that you can go ahead and practice it, and I hope you're going to enjoy it so far. So thank you so much, and if you have any question, please use the question and answer section, and I'm going to get back to you as soon as possible. So thank you, and I'm going to see you in the next video lecture. In this video lecture, we'll be looking at Java database connectivity in Java GUI. Okay, in this video lecture, I'm going to teach us how to use combo box on our table. It's very important and it's very interesting. So, first of all, I'll go ahead and move this a little bit closer here so that I can add a combo box here. And let me go ahead and reduce this a little. Okay, so let me run this to make sure that this is visible out there and not going to be hidden before I go ahead and start adding the combo box. So that, okay, successfully connected. Okay, see that is hidden a little bit. So let me put it back again to make sure that I'm on a safer side and run it again. Okay, so this code is really becoming too big, that is really getting covered. Okay, load students data. All right, I will close this and go over here and click on J combo box, and you can come up here and add it. Let's add the combo box here and go ahead and stretch it a little. Stretch this. All right, let me take it up a little bit. Okay, I'll drag it a little. All right, so I don't want it to be of the same size with this box. All right, hope there's a space. So now what I want to do is, whenever I load this, the name we select, or the ID will appear here, and that is going to be the same thing that will appear in all these boxes. So let me change the variable name of this combo box to be select combo. Select combo box. So that is the variable name, select combo box. And let's make the font of this. Okay, the font should be 20. Let's make it to be 20, and that is okay. All right, all these are openings one by one. Okay, I'm coming. So variable is select combo box, and the font is now 20. So go ahead and double click on this combo box, or you right click on it, and you go to add event handler, action, go to action perform, and this will immediately take us to this combo box. So now this is my combo box. What I need to do is, the variable name is select combo, which we just did together. Then I'll go ahead and remove this so that I can make this a global variable. The reason of making this a global variable is because I'm going to need it in future. So go ahead and open this. You have all these red box, red underlines. Go over here to global variable, under here, and write private, paste this J combo box, and this select combo box, press semicolon at the end. So J combo box, select, is that combo box? Okay, this is select combo box. I hope that is the name we gave this. Let's go down and check it out and make sure we are not making mistakes. How? We'll leave this to be select combo box instead of select combo box. Let's go back and change it to select combo box, and make sure we're on a safer side. So let's know why this is still underlined. So this is a select combo box. All right, I like making things to be in order. Let's make this to be select combo box and not combo box. And let's go back to our design view and change this so that we could be on a safer side. Okay, go back again and change that variable name because you've removed this from here and it's no longer known. Combo box. Wow, what was I thinking when I made this mistake? Okay, see that? So change it to, come back here, combo box. All right, select combo box is a variable name. So let's go back to the source view and let's go over here. So everything is changed and is okay right now. So now we've done this, we go ahead and use that. We are going to use that. So go over the constructor, which is student list, and over the constructor you go ahead and choose and write another method. This is a public method again, public void. Let's say this should be public void use combo box. Why do I always write combo box? So public void use combo box. So that is the method name we are going to use here. So now this method use combo box, we go ahead and copy this, the try catch block we use in the refresh table, copied all of them and come down here and press it. So the difference is that we are going to remove the table, the DB utils, so we are not going to use that, and we go ahead and remove the close for the prepare statement and for the result set. I've removed that. So now what is remaining is, because we are using the combo box, we need to select either a name on ID, username, password, so that the user can always know whether this belongs to him or her. So we can use either the username or the ID, because the ID is the primary key and they can never be the same, and the two persons cannot have the same username. All right, so now I'm going to use a while loop to transfer the entire result set, because we have a query select all from the student list, which is transferred to the query that is passed to the connection using the object of the connection PST. So, and this PST is transferred to the result set. For us to be able to check this, we have to create a while loop. Say while using rx dot next, rs dot next. You go ahead and say the combo box, select combo box, which is the variable name, select combo box dot add item. So it's going to add the items to the combo box. Hit enter. So the argument is going to be rs dot get string, because it's going to be passed as string. So get string. So now the string is either the ID or the name, the username, the first name, the password, just anyone that you want to use. So let's go ahead. It's going to be a string in a string format. So I'm going to say ID. So if I use the ID, it means that this is going to pass the ID into the combo box. If I use a username, it's going to pass the username into the combo box. Let's go ahead and run this and check it out to make sure that we are on a safer side. Okay, load the table. So this has not passed this. Go ahead and close this and let's check it out. So the cause of this is because the refresh table and the combo box, these two methods, we need to pass them down to the combo box here, because this is a combo box here. That is just a method, so it has not been inserted into the combo box. So go down here and insert the refresh table first. The refresh table method, put a semicolon, and the use combo box method, use combo box, press semicolon at the end. So now let's go ahead and run this code again and check it out. Successfully connected to database. So you can see I have a combo box that contains all the IDs. You see that? Go ahead and close this. Now let's go over back to this point and change this ID to names. Change it to first name. Okay, and run this code again. Let's check and make sure it's working out fine. So you can see the first name, Steve, Juliet, King, Queen, and these are the names of all these people. So you can see that this is okay. Close this and change this to username. Let's make sure it's working out fine. Username, and run this. Connected. So you can see that it selects just all the usernames. You see that? Now I don't know if I should drag this down to this point so that the combo box should be down here without closing this, but I would also always love us to see the table, the one that is being selected at the moment. Okay, so go ahead and close this, and let's go ahead and ensure that whenever we select any of them, they will appear on the boxes. So now go down to the combo box down here under the action perform, which we have before. Let's write the code that will help us to select each of these things at the same time. Okay, so under here I'll go ahead and copy just exactly the same this. I will copy the try catch block again that I have here. Copy this try catch block for the use combo box and come down here and paste it. Okay, and you do a little modification. So we're going to do a little modification, and that is we are going to select the query. We change from select all from student list. You now give a condition where you are selecting that. We have a username here where username is equal to anything that is selected. So you're going to put a question mark there, so anything that is selected. Okay, so select all from student list where username is anything that is selected. Now we have the prepare statement. What we are going to do is we are going to pass the object of the prepared statement into the combo box by saying pst.setString. The first argument is going to be the index. We say index 1, and the second argument is going to be a string. Now I'm going to say combo box that is the variable name is select combo box. So that is variable name for the combo box. Select combo box dot whatever that is in there, get selected item. So get selected item. All right, so now you see that I have set string underline. Okay, what this means is because this is expecting a string value, but inside here is not a string. So we're going to typecast this string by saying put, come on, inside here, put a bracket, and inside here typecast this by saying string. It will now typecast this and put it into a string format so that this will be seen. Okay, now I'm going to say select combo box dot add item is no longer going to be select combo box dot add item. This is going to be the text field. Let's go over to this point and look at this. So each of these text field is going to contain the ID, the first name, last name, username, password, age, and the subject. Okay, so let's go over here and check it out. I'm going to remove all this, so I'm going to start fresh and write it so don't get confused. Inside the while loop, I'll have removed the select combo box, and it's going to be the text field ID. So you should always know our variable names. So I will comment this and go back to the design. Oh, this is always popping up. So remember the variable names: text field ID, text field first name, text field last name, text field username, text field password, text field age, and text field object. So we are going to make use of them right now. I'll go back down here again and uncomment this from here. So text field ID dot set text field ID dot set text. So now I'm going to pass rs dot get string. So it's going to get the string, and that is the ID of the selected item. Copy this and do that for your first name, last name, first name, last name, username, password, age, and subject. So this is text field first name, text field last name, text field username, text field password, text field age, text field subject. Okay, so inside here I will change them to first name, last name, username, password, age, and subject. So each of these will be populated for us, and each one we select, it will immediately shown. So now that we have done this, because you're working with the database, you go ahead and close the prepared statement. So pst dot closed. Oh, this is not is closed. This is pst dot close. Okay, so now we have this. Let's go ahead and run this code to make sure that this is working out fine. Successfully connected to database. Okay, Well, you see, the username selected is Poke. Let's select S John. You see that? S John, everything changed. You see that? So you can see that. You can remove all this in case if you want to insert anything. So let's insert an ID of 6, and first name is going to be Jacob, last name is going to be Mike, username is going to be jmike, and the password is going to be 87 hello. Age is going to be 45. Subject is going to be what is this best subject for this guy? Let's go ahead and give this guy history. Oh, history, and go ahead and hit on insert. Data successfully saved to database. So go ahead and click on this. So this is all about, go over here and load students data. So anyone I select is going to pop up. Anyone I select is going to pop up. So I believe we got that, and that is working out fine. This is changing. Everything is changing. Okay. Go over here and update. Update successfully. Just exactly the same thing. You can close this and run it again. Let's make sure it's working out fine. Okay. You see jmike is added now, 6. I believe this is really very interesting. But first of all, let's go ahead and copy this refresh and add it to this point, refresh table, so that whenever you click on this, it will refresh. Let's go ahead and check it out. Remember, we have this down here, but I think there is still no problem about that. So let's add another one. Delete all these. So you can go ahead and 7 text. Oh wow, that is someone's name. PHP, username is tphp, password is anything. Okay, age is 54, subject is so. Go ahead and hit on insert. Data successfully. Okay, you see that, and it's working out fine. So go ahead and delete this guy. We've deleted this from here. Okay, so I'll go ahead and close this, and you can see that this is really very okay at this moment, and it's working out very fine. Okay, so this is all about showing the values of the corresponding username or ID or first name or last name or password or age or subject. Anyone that you put on the combo box, you put the corresponding values on their text fields for you to be able to know what they are doing and the one you are working with at the moment. So I'm very happy that we've gotten to this point, and we are still moving. We still have lots of things to cover so far. So thank you so much, and I'm very happy and I'm glad that we are here. So thank you so much, and if you have any question, please use the question and answer section, and I'm going to get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you, and see you in the next video lecture. In this video lecture, we'll be looking at Java database connectivity in Java GUI. Okay, so right now I have my design here. So I'll go ahead and pick any of these buttons and I'm going to paste it here. Okay, now this is a delete button. I don't know why this is always popping up. Okay, I'm going to check that out to know the reason why it's popping up. So go ahead and hit on this and change this to clear, and this is going to be, come on, I have so many things running behind, btn clear. So the variable name is btn clear. So the reason why I put this clear button is because now that you have a combo box that shows us everything here, it means that once all these things are here, you want to insert or update anything, you need to clear this button. So go ahead and double click on this button, or you go ahead and right click. Okay, yeah, it has opened because I have lots and lots of things going on here. So now that I have this button here, let's go ahead and write a simple code that is going to clear this button. So the first one is, I'm going to say text. Oh, this is a text field id dot set text null. Okay, I will copy this. Let me copy all this for first name, last name, username, password, and age and subject. So text field first name, text field last name, text field username, text field password, text field age, and text field subject. So it will set all this to null, and you go ahead, let's go ahead and run this and check it out to make sure it's working out fine. So this is the clear button. Okay, so we have this here for Peter. Go ahead and hit on clear. You see that it just wiped out everything. So you can go ahead and do some insert, or first name Yon. This is Chinese. Kong. Username Y Kong. Password is a 6712. Age is a 90, and subject is let's call this confirm. I don't know if this is spelling. Okay, go ahead and hit on insert. Data successfully inserted. You can see that inserted here. So you can use the clear button, click on the clear button, and it will all go out. So each time you select S John, they will appear here again. You can use the clear button and delete all of them. So this is the essence of putting a clear button here, so that it can always help us to select one item at a time. So currently S John is the one that is active at the moment. So alright, so this is all about adding a clear button to our JText field. There's a JText field to our form, so that it can always help us to clear the text fields instead of using our hands to do that one by one. So go over there and put it down and check it out to make sure it's working fine on your own as well. If you have any question, please use the question and answer section, and I'm going to get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you so much, and I'm going to see you in the next video lecture. In this video lecture, we'll be looking at Java database connectivity in Java GUI. Okay, so in this video, I'll be showing you how to select directly from the database on the tables, and they will appear correspondingly. Or did I just say correspondingly? Okay, it will bring out the corresponding values on the ID, first name, last name, password, age, and subject on the side. And let's go ahead and do that right now. Okay, so coming over here on your table here, you will notice that you can't see this on your own because your table is hidden. The reason is because when we started this course, or when we started this database, you use JScrewPen to surround your table. Now, if you want to select your table, you move over to this point under components, go to JScrewPen, and you see that it has an icon here. Click on icon and you see a table. So click on this table. Now that you have clicked on table, you can see your table here. You can now come over to the table, right click on the table, go to add event handler, and go over to mouse, and go to mouse clicked. Okay, and double click on this. So don't mind this that is coming up on my own always, because I have lots of things running here. Both the recording equipment and everything is really another thing. I'm trying to make sure I deliver this the way it should be professionally, using all those heavy recording equipment. So nevertheless, let's go ahead and move on. So go to a combo box which you have created previously. This is a combo box. So go ahead and copy the try cache block. Go ahead and copy all these. All right. Copy all these. Then come over to you. I can't actually find my table again. Okay, this is my table. Else I'll go to the design view and get it. So now I'm going to paste this here. So you should be able to find your table. Now that we have pasted this, you know that what this is really doing actually. This is our query. We are selecting all from the student list where the username is whatever we select, because we are dealing with the username. So remember, you can deal with the ID, username, first name, last name, password, age, subject, and so on. So now what we need to do is we need to go ahead and remove this select combo box, because we're not dealing with combo box here. Okay, so we are going to leave the object of the prepared statement with the prepared statement, so that you can be able to pass results to the result set. But before then, go above this string, and we are selecting the rows on the table. Let's go back and look at this here. Come on, stop popping up all this. So we are going to be selecting each of this row, okay, and that will appear here. So let's go over here and double click here. Come on, stop popping up. So I am back to this point again. So now I'm going to say int row equal to table dot get selected row. I'm not dealing with the column now, I'm dealing with the rows. So go ahead and put a semicolon at the end, and I'm going to get, say, string. I'm using username here. You can use ID, first name, last name, just as I said. String username is equal to, because I'm still maintaining my username here, okay? So you can change this to ID or anything you want. So string username is equal to say table dot get model. So table dot get model dot get value. So get value at. So for the first argument is going to be the role. So the first argument is role, which is the variable we created here, and the last one is going to be the index. Let's say this is a 0. Let's start from 0, and this is a dot to string. Okay, convert this to string, put a semicolon at the end. All right, I hope this is okay. Now the username we have now, we are going to go inside the query and say where username is equal to, okay, I'll space this, where username is equal to plus username, put underscore plus. Okay, and coming over here, let's put a underscore here. Okay, so that is okay for us. So now let's go ahead and run this and make sure that it's working out fine. If you have any problem, we can always come back and work on it. So let's select 7. Okay, this is not really showing, so let's know why this is not showing. So let's check our mistakes and know why. Okay, so let's go back to our database. The username is index 3, so ID is index 0, first name index 1, last name index 2, and username is index 3. So go over here and change this to index 3 because we are making use of the username. So if you are using ID, you put that to index 0. If you're using first name, you put that to index 1, last name is index 2, username is index 3, password is index 4, and the age is index 5, and subject is index 6. So let's go ahead and run this and make sure that this is working out fine. Okay, it's coming up. Okay. So now let's go ahead and select 7. You see that? That is showing 7. Let's select S John. You see that? 2. And this is popping up here. So let's go ahead and select mass. You see that? 3. Oh, that's a mass. So king is 4. Queen is 5. You can always use your clear button and it's gone. And go ahead and select book again. 1. So you can see that this is really showing and is working out fine. Okay, so I'll go ahead and close this. All right, so this is all about selecting directly from the database, and the code is just very before you. If you have any problem, please use the question and answer section, and I'm going to get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you so much, and I'm going to see you in the next video lecture. In this video lecture, we'll be looking at Java database connectivity in Java GUI. Okay, so in this video, I'll be showing you how to confirm delete actions before you delete from your database, because it is very important that you know how to do this. Okay, so let's go ahead and double click on the delete, and we are here. So we are not going to touch our code. We are just not going to touch the code because there is nothing wrong with the code. Okay, so what we need to do now is we are going to put in another confirmation dialog box, just the same way we put J option pane. So let's go ahead and add another one and say int action is equal to J option pane. So int action equal to J option pane dot show. This is show confirm dialog and not message dialog. So go ahead and hit on show confirm dialog, and the first argument is going to be null, and the next argument is going to be the string value of what you want the user to see before he or she goes ahead and delete it. So it's going to be, are you ready to delete this data? Are you ready to delete this data? So, or are you sure? Okay, just put a something that will make the user knows that he or she is about to delete the data. Okay, just put, are you ready to delete this data? So if you are ready, so you can go ahead. After that, I'll put another string, and this string is the name delete that's going to appear on the top of this is going to appear on top of the J option pane. Okay, so that will help us to know if what we are doing is actually delete or anything. So after then, you go ahead and put another dialog box. This is not a dialog box at this time. It's not a dialog box, just J option pane that's going to show either yes or no or okay or and cancel. So let's go ahead and put J option pane dot. So you see cancel option, close option, okay option, okay cancel option, yes or no option. So you see warning message. Okay, I can go ahead and hit on yes no cancel option. Okay, yes no cancel option. So you can use yes or no option or okay cancel option, just anyone you want. So I don't know, I'm just stressing much on this. All right, so go ahead and put semicolon at the end of this. Now whenever we select either yes or no, depending on anyone we select. If we select yes, is go ahead and give a 0. So when you select yes, it's going to give 0. But when you select no or cancel, if you select no, nothing will happen. Cancel, nothing will happen. All right. So I'll go ahead and put and say if action is equivalent to 0, that means you click yes. So go ahead and put run this code. That is a try catch block here. So put all of them under if statement under curly braces. Close this with this curly brace. Okay, so this starts here and ends there. So let's go ahead and run this code and check it out to make sure it's working out fine. Okay, so I've selected this guy, and remember this is the first thing that always appear, John. So let's go ahead and hit on delete. You see that? Are you ready to delete this data? See that? Are you ready to delete this data? If you click on yes, it will delete that. If you click no, nothing happens. So let's select 7 and click on delete. Cancel, it will cancel that. Now, so let's select 6, delete, say yes. The data deleted successfully. You see that? And it's gone. So let's check out our database and check our database. Wow, let's load our database because we've not refreshed this database for a long time. So you can see that my database 6 is no longer there, and it is still here. You can go over here and insert it again. Let's click update and see what we have. Update. Yeah, 6 is no longer, is not there before. So go ahead and insert 6, and you see that 6 is added. Come back here and hit on show all, and 6 is added back again. Well, that is how you do that. So you can go ahead and click on Peter. That is one. You see, I'm selecting from anywhere now. Go ahead and hit on delete. Are you ready to delete this data? Yes, delete Peter. Okay, you see that ID1 is gone and Peter is gone, and you can go back and insert Peter successfully. All right, so it's very interesting working with your database, and I hope you're really enjoying this. Okay, so in the next video, I'll go ahead and show you something very interesting again before we round up this course, and I hope this is really becoming very interesting. So let me keep the code for you here and go ahead and put it down on your system. And if you have any question, please try to use the question and answer sections, and I'm going to get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you very much, and I'm going to see you in the next video lecture. In this video lecture, we'll be looking at Java database connectivity in Java GUI. Okay, in this video lecture, I'm going to teach you how to add a search engine, yes, to your database, to your form, so that you can be able to search the names which database analysts do always. So I'm going to rearrange all these things so that they can be able to help me to do this. So let me go ahead and get a jet text field. Get a jet text field and let's put it here. Or you go ahead, right click and go to add event handler, action perform. You always go there. So this is where we are. Okay, so this is my, where is that? Okay, this is my text field search here, just down here. So move over and go to load students data. So go to load students data. Let's go ahead and check that out. Okay, this is the button load students data, and go ahead and copy the try catch block under this. Copy the try catch block here, Ctrl C. So go down and let's go to the search. All right, go ahead and press this here. All right, now that you've pressed this, everything is just going to remain the same. We're not going to change any of this, but what we are going to do is we are going to pass the prepared statement, the object of the prepared statement. We are going to pass it to the search text field search. I'm going to say pass dot pst dot set string. So the first argument, in case if you are searching this with, is going to be index. The first argument is index. If you are searching it with ID, first name, last name, username, password, age or subject, or anything you're working on. So remember the first index ID is 0. So first name is 1, last name is 2, username is 3. So let's go ahead and use first name for the first time. Yes, let's go ahead and use the first name. Okay, so change the first name should be 1. Okay. No, the first argument is 1, that is index. All right, so the next one, the second argument is going to be jet text field search. So whatever you put into the search field dot get text, so it will take whatever you put there and they will check it out. So now our result set RS is still remain, is going to pass the query from here. So the query is going to be select all from student list, where that is the first name now. So where the first name is equal to anything that is selected. Okay, anything that is selected, because we are dealing with the first name at this moment and no longer the username. So you can use ID if you are using ID to do this. So anytime you finish this, after table.set dbutils, you go ahead and close the object of prepare statement, that is pst close. Okay, now that you've closed it, the next thing you're going to do is nothing. So we always bring this one down from here. So it's going to be down here. That will always be the last. Okay, so go ahead and run this. Let's check it out and make sure that it's working out fine. Successfully connected to the database. Okay, so we are using first name, and let's say Peter. Okay, this is not loading. Let's know why this is not working out fine. But before then, let's go to the design view and enlarge this text to be like the font size should be 20 or 25. Let's keep it at 20. Okay, all right, go back to your source view. Let's check why this is not working out fine, and let's make the correction right now. Okay, so what happened is that we are going to copy all this from try cache. You can cut this and go ahead and delete the action perform, because that is not the right thing that's supposed to be here. Okay, so that is not the right thing that's supposed to be here. I'll go ahead and remove all this from here. I'm sorry for this big mistake. Delete this. Go back to your design view, because I didn't know why I made such mistake. So click on your search, right click and go to add event and move to key. So click on key release and not action perform. I don't know why, because I've been working with action perform all this while. I forgotten that it's not action perform, that is key release. So click on key release and come over here and stop that. So this is key release. Come down here and paste the code that we've written before. So remember, I copied it, so I didn't change it. Okay, so go ahead and run this code. Let's make sure that it's working out fine. So it is key release and not action perform, please. Wow, what was I thinking? That is, I say Peter. So you see, I searched just names that are Peter. You see that? And let's go ahead and search John. John is last name. So let's load the table. So John is a last name here. So you can search either with first name, last name, or anything. Let's search with Steve. Okay, so now you are limited to search only with a first name. So what in a case where you are not getting it from the first name, you want to use the last name or ID or search with username or password. So how do you do that? So let's go ahead and see how to do that. In case if you want to search with any of them, that means we are going to put a combo box that will help us to do that. Okay, all right, so go ahead and close this and go to your design view. Let's go ahead and do that again. So under your design view, I'm going to stretch this so that the design will look good. So they're all the same now. I think they're looking good and they're better off. So let's go ahead and double click on this combo box, or you go over here and let's go to our search text field or text search, whatever we call that. Go to key release. All right. Oh, my system is really very heavy now. So this is the combo box that we just generated. That is the last one here. Remember, this is a global variable, so I'm going to leave it to be just combo box. And or I go back to design view and change the variable name to combo box search. combo box search. So the first one is combo box select. So this is combo box search. All right. So now let me go back to my source view, and it has been changed. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut this and make it a global variable. Combo box search. Go up here and put this here. Private J combo box search. All right, let me check if this is correct. Oh, that is in lowercase. The C is in lowercase. Okay, combo box search. Okay, that is okay now. It's not a global variable. I can use it anywhere that I want. So the reason of making that a global variable is because I am going to write a code that will help me to do that. All right. So now that we have the code, we have made a global variable. So what I need to do now is I'll go back to my key search. Oh, I'm moving this up. I hope you are following. Okay, under my key release, I'm going to still leave my code just the way it is. I'm not going to touch it. But because I have to select based on ID, first name, last name, username, or any of the above, anyone, I'll go ahead and move to my combo box. Wow, this is a very big problem to me. Go to my combo box and go to model, and under model I put ID, first name, I believe you know this before, last name, username. You're not searching with password, all right? Yeah, you can search this one with password, but you can search with a username, and you can search with age, and you can search with a subject that is being taken. So you can search with a password, all right? So go ahead and hit OK. So all right, okay, I don't know why this is always popping up. So now that we've done that, go down again and move over here. So we can see that the IDs that will be selected are there. And in my key, I'll go ahead and say create a string of selection is equal to, I'm going to typecast this string combo box search dot get selected item. Put a semicolon at the end. Get the selected item. So now the variable selection, I'm going to use this instead of first name or last name or ID, so that whatever the selected item is, it will pass it to the variable selection, and this selection will pass it to the ID. Let me call this selected item. Let me call this selected item, so it will be easier for us to understand. So the selected item will be passed to the jQuery. Did I say jQuery? It will pass it in the query to the prepared statement. Okay, you know, most at times when you've talked over a long time, sometimes you get confused and your head will be like bubbling up. Sometimes I take some bottles of water to cool off my brain. Okay, so now it's going to be select all from student list, where it's going to now be where, let me remove this question mark. Okay, so we are selected item, so put plus, selected item plus. So is equal to anything selected. Okay, anyone you selected, that is what will appear. So now whatever you selected, you go ahead and say system.out print, in case if you want to print it on the screen. But without printing that, let me go ahead and leave it. There's no need, there's nothing I'm doing with that. Okay, so go ahead and run this, and it's going to, let's check it out and make sure everything is okay, and I believe that all is okay. So go ahead and run this, and it's coming up. All right, so let me select this based on ID. Let's say 4. You see that? Now I will remove this, and let me go ahead and select based on username Pico. Wow, you see that? Now remove the Pico. Let's go ahead and select based on age. Oh, I couldn't remember the age again. Do I have 18? Okay, I have someone with age 18. Then if you want to select based on subject, English. Is anyone taking English? Wow, I have no student taking English. What of chemistry? Yeah, I have someone taking chemistry. Okay, all right, so let me load the data. No one is taking English. Okay, so chemistry, only one person. So what if you have more than one person taking with username or taking password? Let's check how many people are taking 2 courses here. How many people? Everyone is taking different courses. Wow. Let's go ahead and update any of this. Let's go ahead and choose confirm, and go ahead and remove the subject to be mass. Hit on update, and update successfully. Okay, so let's go ahead and choose subject based on people who are taking this as a mass. So you can see 2 persons are taking mathematics. All right, so in the same way, if there are numerous number of people having either the same name, the same first name, either last name, but 2 persons cannot have the same password, the same username at the same time. All right, okay, so I believe that we really got this, and I know at this moment you are really very happy that you've gotten to this stage, and I'm so happy. Okay, so you can go ahead and select any of these. Wow, this is very, very interesting, and I'm so happy that we've come almost to the end of the course, and to the database management system in Java GUI. So go ahead and close this, and the code is just very before you. So go ahead and put down the code on your system and run it, and make sure you just got exactly the same thing with mine. And if you have any question, please use the question and answer section, and I'm going to get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you so much, and I'm going to see you in the next video lecture.